how's it going?
Oh, hi there.
What's up?
This isn't the intro we're actually doing, is it?
No, I wanted to just be like super anticlimactic for the first episode of the year.
Oh, God.
Hello, welcome back. It is the TTP Field Manual podcast. We are back for what I'm just going to call season 2 because, we had a little hiatus, but that's okay. That's okay. As always, I've got with me the super lovely Jonny. Hey, Jonny, how are ya?
Oh, I'm pretty good. Glad to be back at last.
Yeah, life is a spicy little mess around the holiday period, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. And start of the year just kept me pushing and focusing my attentions elsewhere, unfortunately.
And neither of us do, stuff like this for an actual living. So this is being planted around our actual full-time work, which, funnily enough, we both work completely opposing schedules.
Which makes this very difficult to get a chance to sit down and record. But we're here, so let's get going, eh?
Yes, it is going to be a relatively chill, reflective / New Year's resolution-y episode in terms of our hobbying. But first, got a couple of talking points. I want to firstly greet all of the new listeners that hopped on this little bandwagon of ours, thanks in large part to our handful of episodes we did at the end of last year as some sort of advent calendar. So, hello, thanks for sticking around. How you going? But we actually didn't get through all of the ones we were intending to. There are other character dossiers that we didn't end up posting, despite writing the scripts for it, and some we even recorded, but it felt nice to have one release on Christmas and then just leave it there. So you never know, there might be just random episodes that we drop throughout the year.
So stay tuned for those, eh?
Yeah. Well, actually, that's all my talking points.
Nice. Well,
nice.
Today we want to just have a little chat about how we feel, how we plan on moving forward in the hobby. Maybe a little bit of retrospect on what last year provided, what we were excited for, and what we are hoping for this year with our armies / Crusade / hobbying goals, and just, have a nice, relaxing time.
All right, Mr. Fate Weaver, would you like to look to the past or the future first?
Well, we can't look to the future without first looking to the past.
All right. Talk to me about last year's hobby in your mind. How did you feel about it? What'd you get up to? What'd you like?
2024 for me was an interesting year, and kind of was a preamble to this year, as it was my year of chaos last year. I shifted pretty heavily into Chaos Space Marines last year, focusing around my own paint scheme, working on an Iron Warriors offshoot. There were a silver and gold paint color. We started a season 1 of our Crusade last year, focusing around the Leviathan campaign. And honestly, I had an absolute blast playing my army, even if my win rate was a straight out 50%. Balanced as all things should be.
You're the only person who was actually balanced.
I think that was due to quite a few wins at the start, and then people learnt how to counter me, and then I didn't win much towards the end, but we do what we gotta do, And it was still a blast to play. I found some units that I fell in love with, like Possessed, which are absolute fun. Demon Prince, which was a very fun kit to build and paint. But looking forward to shifting towards a little bit more armor in the next year with this army. Although, right after that game we played the other day, I might be pivoting straight back to Chaos Knights. Stay tuned for how that goes.
I was completely expecting the first of Fabius Bile list, but no.
It's just so... It's good, don't get me wrong, but it's the variance that's a problem. For the most part, that was most of my last year, was painting and building that army. I did collect and start the process of planning 1,000 points of Thousand Suns, with their codex hopefully coming out in the near future based on what has been spoiled. I'm hoping to readjust / finish that army in the next year, building up my sandstone color palette for their army colors, using blue as an accent. Yeah, The idea is that they kind of look similar to those statues they found in wherever the hell they found them in Asia. the porcelain army, terracotta army, that's the one. Having that vibe of coming to life statues as opposed to armor-plated dust. That is the vibe I'm going for with that army, but we will have to see what happens with the inclusion of potential allies in the Codex, aka some demons. I do...
Heavy automata rumors.
Yes, I am falling in love with demons more and more every time I, look at them. So, spoiler alert, I might be planning some sort of, demon side project. Maybe?
Well,
we'll see.
If Chaos Demons are folded into the Codex, the codices, I meant to say, it's not exactly a side project anymore, is it? It just becomes a detachment idea.
Or a large part of my army, that's what I'm thinking. And then for Chaos Knights, I'm looking at moving forward with them as well, but based on what we have seen / heard, I'm not expecting a codex in the first half of the year.
No, probably not.
And therefore, we'll be continuing into the Crusade with it potentially in a very raw state or using a converted document for Crusade rules, if the playgroup is okay with that.
I'm sure they'll be fine.
I have been tinkering heavily with the list, planning on using some Horus Heresy models to be cultists as a more Mechanicum style unit that is in the same base / size models, wanting to use some Tech Thrall Covenants from Horus Heresy as cultists for that. But based on a piece of art that they revealed on their Instagram not too long ago, we might be getting Household Guard with Chaos Knights Codex.
Finally! Oh.
They just out of nowhere were like, here's this artwork of these war dogs with dudes with shields in front of them, and they're like, normally Chaos Knight households have auxiliary guard and stuff like this. It's like, is this some weird spoiler alert of what might be coming in the future? Or is this them being like, hey, look at this thing we could do but won't?
I mean, both. It could go such either way. Games Workshop teases all of this stuff in their lore. There's so much lore things that get teased and explained, but then there are no models. Or the exact opposite happens. The designers cook up some sculpts that haven't really had a build-up, and then people are like, what about the other thing that we've been waiting for? And shh, not yet. Hold on. Maybe later.
Wait forever.
So it can really go either way.
Yeah, and that's why I'm hopeful, but at the same time not holding my hopes out, because who knows what will happen.
Just play Grotmas Knights.
Well, that's where the cultists would be for. But at the same time, I'm the Grotmas Knights having friends to sacrifice, the actual detachment rule is very nice, but I feel I'm missing a lot of the index stratagems. I feel like the index stratagems were better. Well, we didn't have that. We were Chaos Knights.
It's the same thing, though, isn't it?
No, I didn't have a potential invuln save.
Oh.
Yeah, but having, the ability to give your war dogs auras at range, the ability to let your war dogs charge through walls, these little things. There's one that allows you to get some wounds back on a knight when you battle shock someone. All these things were very useful, and the detachment rule for Traitorous Lance is useful, but man, it feels so good just throwing 36 shots at someone with lethal hits and sustained hits,
Yep.
For the mere cost of 6 dudes or 3 dudes.
Well, Traitorous Lance might be assimilated into the overall army rule when they do a codex. Eldari had their original index army rule folded into a detachment rule. Their fate dice became a detachment-specific gameplay item. So maybe the Traitorous Lance will be replacing the Battle Shock Aura crap that Chaos Knights has now.
Yeah, I am interested to see what other detachments we get. I'm assuming there will most likely only be 4 in the book. But it'll be interesting to see how they focus them. I would like to see a detachment that focuses around the 9th edition army rule, where it had that kind of back and forth pathing that you could take between different abilities that get stronger as the game goes, or that change as the game goes. I think that would be a very unique way of doing it, but we just kind of have to wait and see at this point.
I think it would matter based on what models are actually like released alongside the codex, because everyone's getting something, even if it's a character. But for Chaos Knights, a character is a big deal.
Well, for Chaos Knights, an epic hero would be a big deal, because we're the only army without.
I think the 3 things I've seen time and again on Chaos Knight player wishlist is a epic hero, maybe like a Black Knight mirror of Canis Rex,
Horror of Crastallan. Sorry.
Yeah. Hatred of Crastalax. Yeah, like a feral knight, like maybe a centaur, like something on all 4s, or maybe it's a bit wounded. It doesn't look quite right.
Something a little more demonic or possessed, more Demon Engine vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like a knight herald, like a 4-in-1 demon princey kind of kit that you can make to look like a Slanesh allied knight, or a Korn, or a Nurgle, or a Malice, whatever you want.
Well, looking at the shadowy outline that we got before LVO, it looks like we are getting some other larger knight, whether that be like an actual knight model. And then, based on what we've seen in like their little lore, like imagery, we might get a household guard, but that's asking a lot for what realistically only normally gets 1, maybe 2 models at most.
Our next episode, we're going to talk about models that were released last year.
Yeah.
And they do surprisingly well when they decide to just pick an army and say, hey, you want more units?
Yeah. But then you look at the ones that only got a model or 2, and it's like, how much are they really going to give to Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights based on the fact that they are a little bit more of a skewed list? They're not hyper competitive because they are kind of one note and therefore aren't necessarily high on the radar. I don't know, it's an interesting thing to see what happens in the future. But getting back on topic a little bit, my focus for this year, I want to focus on getting some more hobbying and painting done. I would like to try and get some more of this Chaos Space Marines army painted up and ready to go. On top of that, I do want to do Thousand Suns as my armies on parade for this year, and would like to put together a board with it as well, as opposed to just doing an army.
Ooh, very cute. I like the sound of that.
In the meantime, I would like to pick up some tech thralls and run them as cultists, so they will need a quick paint job just to get them up to standard for Chaos Knights.
Just a quick battle-ready, spray prime, 3 contrast paints, you're done.
Yeah, I do want to get some more practice in with contrast paints. I feel like I haven't quite got the hang of it, and I see Games Workshop has also been pushing tips and tricks with contrast at the moment through some of their more popular painting artists in the community, and I want to just try and see what I can manage with them. Because when I see what other people manage versus what I manage, there is a large distinction. I personally, at the moment, feel that contrast paints aren't very good because, 1, it's really hard to color match mistakes, and 2, I find that I experience a lot of pooling and need to work on adjusting the ratios of how much paint I put on the model / working on the painting techniques just to make it look cleaner.
You picked up the contrast medium.
I sure
technical.
have. Oh. And there are some hints between using contrast medium and Lamian medium for different applications.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a matter of, I want to get the hang of those contrast paints, but the idea of being able to color match mistakes is a scary process for me because, frankly, my painting skills aren't perfect.
Oh, they've come a long way, my bro.
I feel like I've taken a back step. I haven't painted a model in months because it's just been so hot up here.
just a little bit.
I'm scared to open my paint pots because they're either going to be dried out or completely clumped. And I gotta find a way of refreshing them, I think.
Yeah, where we live, it may as well be Brazil at the moment with how hot it's been over summertime. No one's as hot as Brazil. But I'm really grateful that my hobby room is in the middle of, a structure, so it doesn't really get baked by the sun. Heat travels elsewhere through the house except the room that I hobby in, so it's okay for me, but I feel for you.
Oh man, it's been rough. I definitely did add some medium to all of my bases and stuff before the summer hit, just to try and prolong them a little bit over summer, but I can only imagine how much that's going to have helped.
Oh yeah, you're using the cracky paint, aren't you?
The cracky paint?
You're talking about like a textured base?
Oh, no.
That you put the medium on?
I'm just talking I added a little bit of like Lamian medium just to add some moisture to a lot of my paints so they'd make it through the summer. Okay. Just to try and help them get through this like ridiculous period of heat.
Yeah, so if you're new to hobbying and painting, or both, a lot of the supplies that are encouraged to use for painting miniatures specifically doesn't do very well around humidity and humid environments. And where we live, when it becomes summer, which is 4 to 5 months of the year, the humidity can get to like 90+%.
Sure can.
Struggle is real.
But we do what we got to do, It just might mean that there's a couple of paints I have to replace before I can sit down and paint, which is annoying, but it is what it is,
Can you let me know before you buy paints, because I got a very small local game store happening in my cupboard when it comes to a paint collection.
Those Imperium mags really stocked you up, did they?
This is just stuff I already had.
We'll have to pool our resources and see what we've got.
I did give half of them to our mate who decided he didn't want to paint his models after trying a few, so there is that guy we can take the paints off of.
If they're not ruined now. Yeah, sure. But that's realistically what I'm planning for the next 12 months-ish. 11 months-ish.
Yeah.
A lot of my plan and a little bit of procrastination when I see just how much I've put on myself for this year, so I have to really chill out and let the hobby focus happen. But how was your 2024, and what are you looking at for the next 11 months?
Well, last year, my output of miniatures, particularly painter miniatures, was extremely minimal compared to your output.
I had a good year last year.
You really hyper-focused a lot of models down last year. I did build a lot of models.
Oh, yeah.
So I could, play with my ever-expanding lists. I didn't really do too much hobbying, if I'm being honest. I got more into the hobby, but through different avenues, such as this podcast. I guess you could kind of refer to me as, like, the producer, if you will. Like, I do most of the edits and, posting to the medias and stuff like that. And that took up, like, all of the spare time I had at first, having to, like, learn how audio mixing works and stuff, but that felt very rewarding.
I'm just here for the chats.
Love a good chat, mate. I did it a bit in high school, so it was nice to, get back into the whole editing suite.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely needed to spend a few evenings there reading up on compression and EQ, and I'm still not perfect. People like, maybe you should try doing this, Joshy, with your editing. I'm like, mate, have you ever done this shit? It's not that easy. Not that hard, but not that easy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I got really into it. I was building heaps of lists, understanding a lot of how the intricacies of the game works. Like, strategy games isn't where my brain really flourishes, so I've been doing a lot of reading, play on tabletop, Goonhammer articles, all that stuff. I built heaps of Necrons, got too many Necrons. We played the Crusade, or I played Necrons, and ended our season with a 63% win rate, which is decent.
Yep.
People were really annoyed at how good I was at making all of my saving rolls and the reanimation rolls. My army was just not dying, which was very fun. It was very fun for me to come in and be very nervous, look at those Chaos Knights, look at all those possessed units, look at those orcs over there, and then just win.
You had a pretty good win rate.
Oh yeah. But if you were listening to our earliest episodes, which we refer to as the Slag episodes, where we have a little faction breakdown and figure out if we like them or not, really liked Sisters of Battle. Really liked Eldari as well, but that was a given. But I really liked Sisters of Battle all of a sudden, and then I realized through the Imperium magazine subscription service, which I had, a lot of Sisters were in my pile of shame. Roughly 600 to 700 points worth of Sisters. And then my birthday was the end of the year, followed by Christmas. You bought me some Sisters as Josh, go ahead, go do it. You know you want to, Joshy. Come on, here, have this, and slide me some plastic crack on the down low. My girlfriend bought me Morven Val. Well, actually, sorry, I bought Morven Val. She just took me to the shop and said I should buy it.
Sometimes that's all you need.
You just need a little push.
You did it with me as well.
Yeah. So I was actually overseas until the middle of January, and then when I got back, just dove headfirst into my job again, and then evenings was just building Sisters. Mate, tell you what, I love those models. I don't like building those models, but I love those models. I think the sculpts of the Sisters range, fantastic. Fan-bloody-tastic. The details on them, the ornamentation, when I get around to painting them, I blitzed out all the models I had so I could actually play a game.
Mm-hmm.
But when we actually get around to painting them, there's so much going on. There's cloth, there's metal, there's wood, there's porcelain potentially, there's metal, there's a lot of textures on these models that aren't super large, but they're sculpted so well, Johnny. I'm frothing when I build these things. At first with anger, because these girls are tiny and are double the amount of pieces of a Space Marine most of the time. But they look so good when they're done. And then I froth about how good they look instead of just being a frothing maniac. We just started our second season, I'm calling it, of, both this podcast, but also the Crusade. We're doing the Pariah Nexus mission pack. I'm a little zany and I've translated the video game Dawn of War Dark Crusade into a little bit of an overlay system to help manage and track our campaign. We're going to be fighting over territories represented by a sort of a prop, if you will, and do a crusade with a little bit of extra stuff happening, a sort of a planetary crusade, and that's going to be fun. I've already played a match and a half with the Sisters, very different play style to the Necrons, but I really want to, sit down and have a good go of them. That might be my armies of parade. I picked up a bunch of Eldari on discount when I was overseas from a bookstore that was culling their Warhammer stock. So I actually have almost 1k of Eldari, which if you've listened to previous episodes, you'll know how much I love those guys, girls, and they, thems. Sky's the limit. I'm a little Necron down. I went so hyper-focused on Necrons, I kind of don't want to look at them right now.
Oh, I definitely feel that vibe some days.
Well, you gave me yours.
Yeah, I sure did.
I have over 4,000 points of Necrons now. I have enough Necrons that two of us can be playing Necrons at the same time.
Man, you mean just like the old days?
Yeah, except now it's 2,000 points instead of whatever it was we were trying our luck with. But that's where I'm at. I want to get through my pile of shame. I still have probably less than half now of the Imperium magazine stuff to build. Got a couple of AdMech sprues that might be fun to just put together over a weekend, but I think all that's really left is a couple of Necrons and a buttload of Space Marines. But other than that, I think it'll just be Paint City, you know? You and I have been eyeing up a couple of the other games that Warhammer puts out, Sigma. We were literally talking about Horus Heresy before we started recording. Ugh.
I just can't do it.
Shouldn't do it. I can do it, but I shouldn't do it. But other than that, working on this, I suppose. Putting this stuff out on the YouTubes as well. We just started an Instagram. Might put one on Blue Sky as well. TTP Field Manual. Yeah. Does that answer your questions?
It sure does.
Sure does. What are you running for your Crusade?
That's the question of the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're doing 1,000 points to start with. Our first season, we built up from combat patrols up to 1,000 points over 9 games. And that was chill. But now we're starting at 1,000 points, and all of us have a lot more awareness of how the game actually works and what we actually want to do. But you're playing CSM.
Well.
For this fortnight, you're playing CSM.
Well, we have a game on Sunday, and I'm thinking of bringing the Chaos Knights.
Oh no! Are you?
And just
you're gonna do that meme list you told me, the certain big boy, and then one other thing.
Currently, see, I was toying around with the idea of just bringing 2 big knights to the table and just having a blast. Currently, I'm working on a list that is a Chaos Knights detachment with 1 knight in it.
That's a reverse allied.
It is. It's similar to one of the other podcasters who did a CSM but not CSM list.
Is this Paul Hammer?
Sure is. Except this
hi, Brad.
is.
Hi, Eric.
This is called Knight and Friends. In my current meme idea, which is it's essentially just 1 Knight Tyrant at 515 points, and then just 250 points of cultists and 250 points of demons, and that's 1,000 points.
I don't hate it.
It's just 1 big knight and just a bunch of dudes
have a question.
Running around the table with sticky. The question is, how do I survive getting shot? The answer is, who knows?
Stone vs. Dark Angels player.
So my solution to the who knows was maybe I spend the first couple of RP, have a second knight in the order of battle, and then I can swap out which knight I run based on whether I need anti-tank or anti-infantry.
Okay.
So I can flex.
I have a question, though.
Yeah.
Knight Tyrant, big boy.
Yep.
Really, really big casino cannon. You know, if it hits, wow. If it doesn't, wow. Do you bring the Warp Shock Harpoon casino gun to a 1k list?
How do you kill a dreadnought that has -1 damage, 10 toughness, and just delete something every turn? You put
Paragon Warswords.
The answer is you put 12 devastating wounds into it.
Okay. Devastating wounds, for those that don't know, wound is a form of damage that you deal that most units don't have a way to actually protect against. The ability to get devastating wounds is a bit niche. The actual saving of that type of damage is even further niche in terms of rules. So
it means his damage reduction doesn't do anything. It means I blow it up in a turn, and then I can destroy his tank the next turn. And he's probably going to listen to this episode and be like, well, shit.
Well, here's what we do, Johnny. Here's what we do. I don't tell him I've put out a new episode until after you've had the game on Sunday.
Well, I'm probably not versing him on Sunday, because he tabled me on Tuesday.
He tabled me in my practice game.
But can we talk about the fact that he tabled me? But I still won. It's okay, guys. I still won.
Someone wasn't listening when I explained the rules of the mission.
We both weren't listening, but we both listened to different bits.
Yeah, you won on the objective, but not on the kill streak. So
it was an interesting fight where I felt like I was being outgunned every step of the way.
Yeah, I was spectating that match. I'm aware. That was rough.
But I still had a fun game. It was still fun, and it literally came down to one haymaker decision that I made, essentially, just getting rid of one of his sticky objectives that he thought he was safe holding, which reduced his ability to score, and therefore kept me in the running, even though I was losing unit after unit after unit. So I'm not mad about the performance. If we're going to play an extra game on Sunday, I may as well see what I can do with something else.
You're forming an alliance, but with your own armies.
Yeah, and that's going to have to be a discussion we have in terms of the overarching narrative of, do I stick to the same area and focus on just chaos even though I have 2 armies running? Or do I have to have separate instances upon the map, which just seems super confusing?
That is super confusing.
But we can go through that on Sunday. But yeah, that's the current idea I have, which we'll see is the best way of putting it.
I think no matter how many times you play your CSM, you're always itching to play your CK.
It sure is. Chaos Knights was the love, right?
Yeah, sure was. Every time I'd go to your house, there's another box somewhere in your house.
Oh man, I haven't... It's going to be a while before I can buy any more models.
Well, you have enough to choose from.
Oh yeah. It also gives me a reason to finish putting together this Knight Tyrant.
So your CSM list, you got some characters, some infantry, some tanks, relatively normal CSM list.
Yep.
Your CK is a hodgepodge of stuff.
I wouldn't go hodgepodge. I have...
damned units, demons, and 1 CK.
Oh, the actual list itself, yes. But in terms of what I have possession of, like, I have most of, if not all of, the possible options. I have 6 War Dogs currently. I have 1 Abominant. I have a Rampager. I have a Despoiler. I have a Tyrant. The only thing realistically missing is a Desecrator, but I don't really care.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is all without magnets, even though that's going to trigger every single Chaos Knights player that I don't magnetize my models. But I also don't play competitive, so if I want to run a Despoiler in a different loadout, it's fine.
It's fine. I can't even remember which one's which anyway, so you just tell me.
Exactly. I'll be like, they all have miniguns, or they all have battle cannons, or this one has 1 of each, which is what the actual model has.
And now I'm going to attack you with its 5th gun. Okay, Johnny.
But it does have a few guns. That is no word of a lie.
Thousand Suns list? Any ideas?
Toying up with... If I was to run it for Crusade, I do have a potential 1,000-point list, which is focused pretty heavily on sorcerers sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Seems legit.
Yeah, like, sticking away from the epic heroes... Because in Crusade, your epic heroes don't really get much better, whereas you can upgrade and increase the power. But it focuses on, like, a couple of Exalted Sorcerers, a Demon Prince, because he's so cool, and then, like, some Rubric Marines and a Mutalith Vortex Beast, which is potentially the next purchase for this army.
Yep. Sounds about right.
Yeah, but
cool.
It's very... Flamer centered. It's just
I like flamers.
Yeah, you shove some rubrics in a rhino with an Exalted Sorcerer. He keeps them alive. When they come out, you have a Demon Prince with wings flying around shooting things and just causing havoc on the battlefield. And then you have an Exalted Sorcerer with some more flamers that can deep strike and do uppy downies.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. It'll be fun to see what they come out with their codex.
And I'm not sure if you've looked at the Mutalith Vortex Beast anytime recently, but it has 3 weapon profiles on its ranged attack.
Actually, I do remember seeing that, yep.
Depending on whether you want to go anti-infantry, anti-elite, or anti-tank. You essentially get a flamer, a blast weapon, or a big 4 AP devastating wounds with d6 plus 6 damage.
Alright, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so you
got your list pretty figured out then.
Mate, I have a lot of... you've seen my new recruit. I've
probably
got about 25 lists on here between boarding actions and different 40k lists.
Yeah, I have like 7 or 8 lists that are just called owned models. separated by various factions.
Yep, I do like that it groups everything up in factions. That's one thing I really like that you can do.
New recruit. What to use for list building when your battle scribe is no longer supported and you don't want to spend for Battleforge.
I also think that New Recruit does a lot of things that Battleforge doesn't allow you to do, especially for Crusade.
Yeah.
One of the key things for Crusade is your enhancements aren't restricted by detachment. So you can take your enhancement from any detachment that you have access to instead of the one specifically you want to play with. In Battleforge, if you attempt to do that, it deletes the enhancement when you change your detachment, so it's really hard to pull from multiple detachments. In New Recruit, you can do it, it just has like a little red exclamation mark. It's like, you don't really have access to this, but it still gives you the ability to attach it, work the points, have it on the sheet. It just gives you a soft alert, which just makes it significantly better for this, and it's also allows you to export as Battlescribe files, so you can upload straight into your administratum as well, which is also very useful for Crusade purposes.
It's also very useful when you are me running or list building 4 to 5 separate armies at once.
This is also true.
Shall I mention a bit about the armies I'm putting together?
Yeah, sure.
And then I have one last question for you, and then maybe we should wrap up the episode before we start rambling about what applications we should be using.
Hey, that's part of what this was. It's a entry into the hobbying again. First episode to reintroduce ourselves to everyone, and yeah, sure. Tell me, what are you doing?
No negative. I'm just saying we could do a whole episode on the tools and applications we actually use.
Maybe keep an eye out for that in the future.
Yeah, we gotta save some content here, my friend. I only have about a year's worth of ideas.
Woof.
So, sisters, I am really shoehorned into one particular detachment right now because of what I have access to. When I play Necrons, I could just pick and choose a detachment. Do I want to play Destroyers? I got the stuff. Do I want to play Awakened Dynasty? I've got the stuff. Do I want to play Hypercrypt Legion? I actually don't have the stuff, but you get the point. Sisters, there's detachments around Penitent units, don't have many of those. There's a detachment around Bringers of Flames, laughs and nerfs. Army of Faith really likes to spend miracle dice on laughs and nerfs. No, but I'm really into the Hallowed Martyrs. You shoot a unit, they get hurt, they get better to hit you. They don't like being hurt. It kind of empowers them. Actually, sorry, they do like being hurt. You don't like them being hurt. That's the point. So I'm playing the Hallowed Martyrs. It encourages a little bit of putting your stuff out there, getting a bit beat up, but like not taken out of the fight. And then your go turn is just this wrath of blessed babes that +1 to hit, potentially +1 to wound. You've got tanks that are shelling you and removing your benefit of cover, giving +1 AP to your normal infantry simply because the tank shot somebody. And the girlies are unloading multi-melters that are automatically hitting on 6s and 5s because you're expanding like the miracle die. And provided you've been able to be a bit defensive for a couple of turns, set yourself up, the Sisters' damage output is volcanic, my friend. It just bleh. Our Dark Angel's friend, who did table me, I also managed to remove his Redemptor Dreadnought before it did anything, and just two normal chicks with multi-melters took out over half of his tank's wounds. And then my Canoness Warlord popped her once per battle invulnerable phase, and just literally tanked, I guess, all of the tank's weapon profiles with like maybe 1 wound taken, and she just spat on the ground and said, "Come at me again, I dare you." So that's fun.
You definitely have some anti-tank output.
But they will fall over to a stiff breeze.
Oh yeah.
People seem to think Sisters scary because of the damage. Correct. You know what Sisters also are? Just people. They will they will crumble, you know? Indirect fire missile, there's a dead girl or two. Cultists, deep striking in the back, auto pistols, yeah, there's a dead girlie. But only one or two, so then they're gonna shoot you with holy wrath.
By inserting a 6 into your sphincters.
Yeah, so I got some battle sister squads, got a tank, got a few characters with the enhancements put on them. It's gonna be fun. Will I play Necrons anytime soon? Perhaps not, but I do have a spicy Awakened Dynasty list just waiting to come back into the sunlight.
Yeah. But there's also if we end up finding another player who wants to try out the game, we do have access to a couple of different armies they could try before they get invested, you know?
Sure do. So long as they like Necrons and Space Marines and the Chaos.
Yes.
Eldari, I have a decent chunk of Harley Quinns from our Kill Team days. I have a bit of the Combat Patrol stuff, so your Guardians, your Wind Riders, your Wraith Lord. I really like the Spirit stuff, the Wraith constructs, but I also really like the Aspect Host, or the Phoenix Lords in their aspects. That was the first thing when I was like 12 or 13 that really hooked me in terms of what would I like to play is, all Phoenix Lords. However, buying Wraith constructs, the Wraith Knight, the Wraith Guard, it's a lot more affordable. Maybe I start there and expand outwards gradually. And Space Marines is really my only other army, simply because I have the stuff. And Johnny, tell you what, Librarius Conclave Ultramarines does arouse something within me.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying, not gonna lie.
Got Primarch Gilliman on the board, double Oath a moment. Got Marnius Calgar on the board, extra CP every turn. Got 3 or 4 librarians doing spells and stuff, making, a 10 blob of Stern Guard veterans, devastating wound on 5 with full rerolls to the wound. You've got Terminator Librarian with an enhancement to give Assault Terminators advance and charge. It's
hot damn is what it is.
You put them with Storm Shields and Thunder Hammers, all of them, and nothing's living through that. You put Chief Librarian Tiggy on a 10 blob of Infernus Marines, and you can give them a free fire Overwatch stratagem every round.
Yep.
Gee whiz.
Gee willikers, Batman.
So that's the 4-ish armies I have going on. Eldari's the least further along. Sisters is definitely where I'm at. I was a bit more on board with the Emperor's Children train until it began to come into the station, and I was kind of like, it's alright. Maybe not yet.
Maybe just hold off on that while you've got 2 other already owning models for armies, right?
It's less that and more just I haven't seen enough to fully convince me on the faction just yet. I think the mental expectations that I had built on this faction, can't exactly say what it was, but what we are presented with doesn't seem to generate the same level of anticipation that I had before they announced what they were putting out, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So that's my armies. Last question for the episode, though, for you, Johnny.
Sure.
What do you want Warhammer to do with this year? What models would you like to be released? What support do you want them to encourage? Any ancillary things like animations or video games? What's your wish list?
I think the big thing that I want to see is some adjustments to the way that Crusade works with different armies. Maybe focusing on a faction as opposed to a army. So having access to exactly what I want to do, which is like Chaos Knights and Chaos Space Marines in like a similar Crusades version.
Yeah.
As opposed to being like, I am Crusade Chaos Space Marines. Be like, I'm Crusade Chaos. I'm Crusade Imperium.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Crusade...
Mega faction.
Yeah, as like an overarching narrative. I would like to see more allies available for everyone in a similar way that they've done like the Grotmist detachments, where it's like, you can include these models from this other thing. I think that's really interesting. Gives you more options for list building. I understand why people don't like it, because it requires you to buy more models from outside of your range. But having the option and the fluffiness and all of this is really nice. And it would be really fun to see in more than just Chaos, but like Xenos allies maybe, which is something we haven't realistically seen before. Give us Necrons teaming up with someone else, you know? Give us these ideas of narrative focus of army consideration. I think that would be really cool. Another thing I want to see this year is maybe something similar to Arcs of Omen, like an overarching narrative story pushed by the company with rules support and maybe like either not boarding actions, but like another boarding actions style small game.
Yep. I
would like to see integrated, again, Crusade kill teams, or, you know, like integrating the different 40k games into one system with rules support. So kill team to go with your narrative campaign, or, you know, like maybe there's after Narkmund we get like a Necromunda focused 40k campaign that has Necromunda support as well as like a skirmish, or like something like that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
I really want some more of the narrative stuff. The more I read these audiobooks, the more I just want to learn more about what's happening now as opposed to what has happened in the past, you know?
Completely forgot I've been consuming audiobooks left and right for this setting.
But what about you? What's on your wish list for the future of Warhammer 40k?
Before the thought leaves my brain, I think the things you've talked about are all like super exciting. Humorously, there's like 3 points at least in what you were talking about are episode ideas I have for us.
Spoilers.
It could be a bit of fun for us to come up with and talk about these things that you're evidently quite excited for, such as like allies, whether that's in the format of like the Age of Sigmar, like small specific list of units that can be given to like most other factions, like a Regiment of Renown, I think it's recalled.
Yep.
So that's an idea. End of edition campaigns are pretty common. We've had them for 3 editions now. 8th was, I think, the Gathering Storm when G-Man came back.
Correct.
9th was, I think, Psychic Awakening.
Well, it was Arcs of Omen for 9th.
Sorry. I've been 1 edition too far ahead. 7th edition was Gathering Storm.
There you go.
8 was Psychic Awakening, which actually brought a lot of the modern aspects in, like a few of the characters, a couple of the rangers.
Yep.
There was like 8 freaking books, but they were like supposedly not too bad, you know, giving a lot of love to all the factions.
No, that's good.
Arcs of Omen was great. For like lore, we got models, we got rules. You know, we also got like the Lion, we got Vashdor, we got Dante, Farside, Snickrod. You know, we had so many things. And one of my other script ideas is, what will 10th edition's end of campaign look like? What models would we get? What could the game mode be? So that could be a fun little brainstorm.
Episode idea.
And integrating various games is also an idea I've been trying to brainstorm on my own for our ongoing Crusade stuff, because we have patrols, we got kill teams, we might have a Necromunda gang at some point, you know? So that's fun. What I want from Warhammer this year is a couple of really good, like, respect to the fans, army refreshers or updates. There's a couple of armies or factions that have some models that aren't really around anymore, such as Jakari, really hard to get into. People like the Space Wolves have a lot of characters that have been lost to time. And then, like, you look at the models on the board and they just don't really look like they belong alongside all the Primaris stuff. And then, of course, you have the 9th edition factions that were introduced. Votan, World Eaters, gosh, they need some love. They need more units to really make them feel like an actual faction and not just like half a dozen guys united by passion. So that's what I really want. I haven't thought too much beyond that. I think they need to really solidify their portfolio of units and armies before they expand on the rules set. I mean, you could do both, of course. I would love for them to stop being so gung-ho on the competitive scene and actually, calm down a bit and let people's armies marinate before they target them with nerfs and buffs, and just create a lot of confusion, in all honesty, for people. Like Sisters of Battle, at Christmas time they did a big nerf to the army, and people like legitimately putting their army like on the shelf. They're like, nah, I'm not playing this crap. But you don't have to play that. It's tournament rules patching, essentially.
Yep.
You're trying to make the competitive scene balance. But if you're just getting into this hobby, you're going to be confused. Every 3 months there's a balance, PDF. There's like 15 PDFs to read through. Most people don't even play that often, so, between games, they're not really understanding what their army's actually doing because it changes. Points change. You spend like a month saving up a bit of cash for a battle tank, and then you build and paint that battle tank, and then when you go to play, you look at your list and there's this glaring like exclamation mark because all of a sudden you're 20 or 30 points over the points limit because the tank got more expensive like last week. Get that under control. Put some, underrepresented armies on a similar level to the other armies, and then I'll be happy with just that.
All right.
What do you think about that?
No, I think they're all very good ideas. It would be good to see them giving some love to where they haven't recently and really push that like fan drive. Because, I mean, we spend a lot of money and time and effort into this hobby, and it would be nice for that to be supported a little more sometimes.
It definitely is understandable why some people turn their heads towards either other settings such as Sigma, which is generally considered a bit more casual, or Horus Heresy, where the rules doesn't actually change all that often, or completely other games such as the new Trench Crusade skirmish game, or other third-party games like Idols of Torment.
There's so
definitely
many.
Understandable why people jump ship, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how, general reflection and resolution of the turning of the year. Any last remarks from you, my friend?
That's all I've got for you today.
We actually had a surprising amount of stuff.
Yeah, and we covered a lot in that period of time, which is good to see.
Sure did. Next episode will be a bit of a debrief / review / thoughts on all the big model releases from last year across all the various systems. Yep. Following that, we're going to have a bit of fun by writing lists for randomly selected Grotmas detachments and have a little talk about Grotmas as a whole, eh?
Yeah, a bit late to the party, but it's given us a chance to think about the list, see what people are doing, and go from there.
Yeah. Well, I'm Joshy.
And I'm Jonny.
We have an Instagram now. It's TTP Field Manual. Have I posted much on there? Not yet, but if you follow, I might. All right. Alrighty. I will talk with Jonny at you guys later.
Have a good one, guys.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye-bye.